I was totally hopped up on caffeine as I unpacked this kitchen. Let's rewind to a few hours earlier to see exactly what happened. Drink has been acquired. I haven't got one of these chai lattes from Coffee Bean in so long, but it was for so many years my absolute favorite drink. And just something about this morning, I just felt like I needed to go and get one. So we'll see how it affects me. So here we go with unpacking an entire house in 6 hours. I know that that may sound fast, and it is really fast for us, but the space was only about 900 square feet, and there wasn't really that much compared to some of the spaces that we work in. So we were in a really good spot to start. When I initially was recording this video, I had intended to make it like a 1 minute short, but then when I went back to go through the footage, I thought to myself, no, I want to show them a much longer version of the process. And so bear with me as you have about 9 minutes of me talking you through exactly how we unpacked and organized this whole house. After we walked through the house with the client, we started to look through a lot of the boxes and place them to the best of our ability in the rooms that they belonged in. One of the things that I recommend for you is laying everything out to the best of your ability so you can see exactly what you have. And so here's a look at me doing so with the shoes. I was really beginning to assess, okay, what's the quantity here that we are working with and where could I potentially put it? Once you have everything laid out, it becomes so much clearer as to where things should be put away. Thankfully, with this space, it was a bit larger in some of the spaces than in the client's previous home. This was my first time working with the client, so it was also my first time with their possessions. So I really needed to take some time getting acquainted with everything as I strategized where I put things away. Sometimes I'm asked, Julia, how the heck do you know where to put things? I don't know what it is, but I have this unique ability to see any space and see the possibilities in it. And so it's kind of like a beautiful mind equation, if you've ever seen that movie. It's like I'm calculating all of these things in my mind and figuring out exactly where everything fits. I remember over the summer, I was asked by another client if I had a background in engineering or in math, which I don't. However, a lot of my family is in engineering, and so I think it's quite funny. But I do tend to think about exactly what will fit realistically in a space, and I have the ability to just see the quantity of items, see a space, and know what will work. So that helps me out quite a lot. It's not that I learned it from anywhere, I just have that innate ability. And as we were working on this, Rachel and I decided to split up between the house. So she was primarily in the kitchen, and I was in the bedroom, closet, and bathroom. Now, the kitchen was probably the largest undertaking of all because it did have quite a lot of stuff, and the cabinet space in this kitchen that she had moved into wasn't very sufficient for the quantity that she had. And so it was really a game of Tetris. But otherwise, in other spaces in the home, the client already had so much good storage stuff that it made our life really easy during the unpack. If you know me, you know that I don't wear very much makeup or do too much when it comes to skincare. Most of what I've learned about makeup and such has been through working with clients. And thankfully, because I've worked in so many homes, I am able to sort these types of items and figure out what they are relatively easily. But truth be told, my makeup supplies take up less than one drawer of my bathroom, and that's pretty much it. And so it's always kind of surprising for me when I see people who have really full vanities because although I understand that it's a really big thing for so many people, it truly never has been for me. I mean, even thinking back to when I was in high school and in college, it just wasn't something I was really interested in. And I never really got into, but I definitely would be interested in learning more. And if I ever work with you and you're really into makeup, I would be happy to learn from you. So please tell me what you know. So I worked on putting everything away. And one of the things you may have noticed by now is that the client really loves whales. I thought that they were so cute. So I definitely wanted to display them. That's why I put some of the whales on top of that vanity because I thought, oh my gosh, they're so cute. We also saw other types of things in the home that may come up later in the video that were kind of similar type items. From what I remember, it may have been Pocahontas. It's honestly been quite a long time since I did this project. But anyway, I find that I'm really in a flow when I'm organizing, and I get to a point where I don't even realize what time it is. I have to make sure to check in with my team to make sure we're staying on track, and it's part of why I always am wearing a watch too, because I get into such a state of flow that I forget to stop. And as I mentioned earlier with my caffeine, I had bought a chai latte, which I hadn't had in like a year and a half. In fact, I hadn't had any caffeine at all in a year and a half because when I decided to go through IVF and get pregnant, I just decided to stay off of caffeine during that time as a personal choice, even though I wasn't asked to do that. So I was pretty hopped up on caffeine this entire day. I really felt it running through my veins, and I'm not gonna lie, I have been going back to drinking it from time to time now. It's so easy to get back into that addiction, and I don't know. I felt great not being on it for so long, but I do really love how it feels, and there's nothing quite like having a chai latte on a cold fall morning like what we're getting right now. Now, mind you, this was filmed quite a while back on quite a hot day, as you can imagine, since I'm wearing a tank top. But anyway, sometimes I think that the time lapse is really difficult for people to watch because, wow, things are going so fast. But truth be told, when I was hopped up on caffeine, that's kind of how my mind and my body were feeling. I was kind of feeling inside what this time lapse is like. And so I was kind of on overdrive, which really worked to our advantage that day. And so I went room through room, trying to organize things to the best of my ability. We didn't buy any organizing product at all. The client had quite a lot of product that we could pick from, and so I always like when we don't have to buy pretty much anything, and it's just about putting everything away in a way that will make sense. The client had actually put away most of this cabinet on her own, which I thought looked really nice. She did have a considerable amount of backstock, which we did talk with her about trying to reduce the quantity of some of these toiletries that she had, because it is just for one person and the quantity was quite high. Here's a look at what the shoes look like after I put them away. I thought I was very pleased with that. And so after I finished the other part of the home, I came back to the kitchen to see Rachel's progress. I realized, oh my gosh, there's a whole other part of the house that I haven't filmed yet. And so Rachel was here putting everything away, and it really took quite a lot of strategizing to make things work because the quantity that we were working with was so high. Here's a look at the little office nook that we also had to put away. And so that was actually pretty quick by comparison to some of the other spaces that we worked on. And I realized as time progressed, and Rachel did help me a bit later with the bedroom, that I was going to have to go all hands on deck with this kitchen too, because there were just some items that we didn't know where to go, and I needed to come in and try and make that work. And so I really kind of worked on overdrive in this part of the day as I strategized about where the heck we were going to put all this food, because truth be told, there was way too much food here for this kitchen to accommodate, and we didn't really have anywhere else to go with it. I obviously didn't want to put all of this food into her living room space or into her bedroom. And so there was a very, very shallow pantry that I tried to stack things in as best as I could, but I did have a conversation with the client about making sure to go through all of this food before buying anything else, because there really was not adequate space to add absolutely anything else. We did have this other little bar area that we could use to put food away. I was attempting to just make this into a coffee station because I thought that that would be really nice for the client, but due to space constraints, we also had to put some excess baking supplies there as well. It always makes me so happy when you can see a clear countertop. It's just so beautiful. And as you can see here, a lot of the organizing product really fit well, and she already had that. And so we were very, very pleased with that outcome. As we were moving along, I really wanted to note all of our progress and see exactly how everything was fitting into the space, and if we had any remaining space at all where we could put anything else should we need it. But this was kind of a look at the final product that we were able to do in this kitchen, and I didn't get a good view of that back storage room, but in any case, we came back to the closet because I needed some help from Rachel in just making sure that we could get the rest of this done. And so she worked with me on getting items folded, on getting things sorted, on just getting everything ready to be put away. I really loved this rack that the client had, but one of the things I realized as I was putting things away is that this rack could not accommodate heavy items. So here you'll see that I had to really pare it down because that was starting to like bow in the middle, and that wasn't going to work for us. Moving can be so stressful, and I'm so happy that we were able to make this day so much easier for our client, and now she's ready to just move in and enjoy her new home.